Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to take a little bit of time to sort of knit together a few pieces of loose fabric that have not been tied together yet in the story that I want to present when Alex gets back in here. It looks like next week now. He ended up with the flu, and I don't want any flu around me because I'm dealing with my elderly mother, so we're just going to, stay apart from each other right now. We're not set up to telecommunicate yet where I could bring him in on a video feed. We're working towards that, so helpful donations would help us get there a little bit faster because it is a little bit pricey, but it does add a lot to the effect and the ability to communicate with distant partners and contributors for a podcast like this. So anyway, today, in our narrative about the Mike McCormick book and Almost Insurmountable Evil, where he talks about the behind-the-scenes activities that took place beginning back in early 2000 all the way up to present day, where people at the White House and governments around the world were working for the bringing down of the Vatican and religion in general around the world. One of the reasons I think that this was going on is this interfered with their dynamic to try to create this one world order. So what they needed to have was a softened authority out there, but these governments didn't have their own moral authority to do anything. So they had to go and basically use and capture the Vatican's moral authority to try to do what they did. And they weren't alone. So there were other people and groups that were working at this, and I want to get into one of these. And one of these groups, a lot of you folks may know and think highly of them, and I'll tell you why maybe you shouldn't be. But this is the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Everyone thinks to themselves, oh, Southern Poverty Law Center sounds like such a good thing. It must be like Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, this guy with all this principled integrity, fighting for the truth and the victims out there. No, not even close. This is closer to the characters that Al Pacino played in a movie called The Devil's Advocate. He played a New York attorney by the name of John Milton, I think was his name. And John Milton was one of these guys that would push and prod and intimidate and lie, steal, bribe, do whatever he had to do to win the case for his client. Win at all costs. It doesn't matter if somebody dies, my client wins. That was the devil's advocate. There was nothing that was good or enviable about this particular character. It was all evil, hence the name The Devil's Advocate. Another movie out of that same sort of period was a movie that had Richard Gere in it, and the movie was called Chicago. In Chicago, the evil lawyer in that one was a guy named Billy Flynn. Billy Flynn. And in that movie, Chicago, Richard Gere played what would I call him, a celebrity type lawyer. And his goal was to make all of his clients into celebrities. He'd make them so popular, make them so agreeable, make them so enviable to people. He didn't care about the facts. He cared about the public opinion. And so this was sort of like a tribute to a fellow by the name of Saul Alinsky, who has written many treatises on how to take over governments and bring down a cultural civilization. And one of the first things that Saul Alinsky says is to lie again, keep lying until the lie becomes fact and becomes accepted by the population and public opinion. And that's what happens when you keep pushing that elevator button, to go to the, whatever floor it is. You keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And pretty soon it's the only button that works on the damn panel because it got wore out. That's the one that works, and that's the one that everyone lands on. I know it's a weird cutaway, but everyone ends up on the same floor because everyone ends up believing the lie as being truth, and this is where they all end up, and that's where they wanted you all along. So you were used as sheep, you were used as cattle. They don't care about you, this being the media, this being actually, I believe, the majority of your government officials. And it always surprises me why so many people, even celebrities, that people will fight for the opinion of a celebrity out there, even when the celebrity could care less about them. But these people are so empty inside that they will take on whatever it is that fits in their hole, this emptiness inside them, so that they can grasp onto this. And then now they feel popular. They feel like, the lawyer in Chicago, this Billy Flynn, this Richard Gere character, that, yeah, I'm successful. Yeah, this is it. We got a name, we got an agenda. We're popular, this type of thing. So this kind of mentality with these lawyers is what we have at the Southern Poverty Law Center. We don't have angels looking to take care of the downtrodden and despondent victims in the world. We have more of an advocacy and agenda group that's in there. And these guys have been funded along the line. You would think that Catholics in particular would be against something like this, especially because the next nugget I'm going to tell you is, do you remember when the FBI was caught with this memo out of Richmond, Virginia a few years back, talking about how it was during the Biden administration, they wanted to investigate conservative Catholics. Now, the conservative Catholics that they had targeted were a group of traditional Latin Mass observers. And these were advocates of the traditional Latin Mass. And the FBI, in its infinite wisdom, declared these people to be a hate organization. And they decided upon this because of a report that was given to them by the Southern Poverty Law Center, declaring that Catholics who practice and observe the Latin Mass are the most anti-Semitic people on the globe. That's really high praise, given the fact that we've got Sunni Muslims, we got Shia Muslims, we got the Muslim Brotherhood out there who has declared Israel to be, a non-negotiable item on their list of things to get done. They want to get rid of Israel. This is the Muslim Brotherhood, who was welcomed into the Oval Office by one Barack Hussein Obama. And Obama trying to say that, these are all good guys, we got to be at peace with them. These are the guys that are causing all the problem in the world right now, along with others. The Muslim Brotherhood. The SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, still has not declared the Muslim Brotherhood to be a hate group. Even though, in the last 15 years, their number of hate groups on their list has gone from over 500 to now over 1,300. That's almost a 2.5 times ramp up in 15 years. So hate has become, this, this contagion around the world? No. It's been the interpretation of what this person over here wants to call hate to make you have to act on it over here. And that's what the Southern Poverty Law Center is doing, is they are determining for the FBI and government officials who is and who is not a member of a hate group. Do you hear that? This group of unsettled attorneys over here is going to tell the government officials who have the law enforcement powers who is and who is not a member of a hate group, based upon nothing that you may have done, if they're naming you as a member of a hate group, but not on anything that you've done, but how they think that you are thinking about something. Thought police. This is very Orwellian, where you have a group of people based out of a certain think tank getting all sorts of other blended messages from people creating AI messages, putting forth their agendas in the world. These people over here at the Southern Poverty Law Center being influenced to think that you are thinking bad thoughts, so you must be a member of a hate group, and then you need to be investigated, shut down, debanked, whatever it is that the government can do to you, and what the Biden administration did to people. And now they want to deny it. They want to deny all of it. So other things that the S endorses and is a big advocate of are anything LGBTQ. If it's LGBTQ or trans-centered, anything like that, they are on it. And anyone who goes against it is a member of a hate group. Charlie Kirk, hate group. Although they can't point to one specific item that Charlie Kirk was hateful about. He might have been illuminating of facts, but he never called for anyone to be hurt or diminished or put down. He asked for them to be changed in a way that brought them in line with God's natural law. That's what Charlie Kirk was doing. Charlie Kirk was fighting for biblical reason in an insane world. But now you got people out here want to, cut him down and shoot him down and do all this other crap. This is not right. Now, back to what I was talking about the other day about the an almost insurmountable evil and the role that one Cardinal Theodore McCarrick was playing in the coup d'etat of Benedict XVI back in 2012. Well, he had been activated by the State Department and through their organizations, basically the CIA informant. He became a CIA operative, whether he knew it or not. And what they did was this got him buckets of cash. And the cash was used to buy influence in and around the halls of the Vatican, around the world, and with other certain organizations. And one of those, I'm told, is the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, this was before they determined that Roman Catholics observing the Latin Mass were the worst of the worst when it came to anti-Semitism in the world. So that didn't happen for another decade later. But in the meantime, McCarrick and other folks were lining the pockets of the Southern Poverty Law Center, along with like the Bill Gates people, the other libtards out there, were throwing all this money at these people because according to the liberals on the left, who really don't observe a moral authority from a church-driven system, they wanted to supplant the church-driven morality factor into the SPLC, that these noble, virtuous thinkers were the path forward to the new world order. This is kind of like determining that the quarterback for your favorite team also gets to be an official in the game. So he's not only driving the ball down the field, he gets to declare, what's a pass interference call and what's not a pass interference call. What's an offsides? What's not an offsides? Is that a holding? That wasn't really holding. No, we're going to let that one go. That creates an unfair battlefield. Is any of this making sense? I hope it does, because when Alex gets back in here, we're going to be knitting this stuff back together. But it would help if you did a little diving down on this in the meantime, just so you're aware of things so you can follow along a little bit more quickly. But it just really drives me crazy that you get all these false AI messages are coming out there. And many of these things are driven and created by Hamas-driven propaganda machines. A lot of it through our university students, professors, that type, creating these AI videos out there that the normal person isn't going to be able to recognize right away. If they don't have a sharp background on all the story, they're going to believe what this AI presentation is telling them. You see it out there now. They're using people's faces and voices like Candace Owens, was it Tucker Carlson, other folks. I saw one the other day, Dan Bongino, saying something. It was totally not him. It was totally AI driven. And until our internet service providers and these types of sources out there are able to label something that is AI created for the user to know right away, some sort of label, some sort of designation has to be made. Now, software can pick up as something as AI driven, and I recommend if you know anybody, you might want to get some sort of software or spyware type of thing that will let you know if something is AI or if it's real, because there's a certain pattern that goes on the video. It declares it somehow. I don't know how it happens, but I'm going to look into that a little bit more. But you need to have that because it's going to get really problematic out there, and it's really going to get nutty. So the thought police are out there. They're coming after people that don't agree with their fit agenda that they've selected. And a lot of this is coming through the Southern Poverty Law Center and other groups like that. So be very, very careful about this stuff. Watch out for who you give your donations to at this time of year. We have to crack down on this, and we got to realize this is the enemy from within. Don't become a soldier on the wrong side of the war. In the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.